Hello, welcome to the sideboard here at the Standard Open in Richmond, part of the SCG Tour, brought to you by Ultimate Guard and Okie Dokie Dice. Nick Miller alongside BC Dub's own Jim Davis. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Pretty good. New format, sorta-ish, standard, with a whole bunch of new cards. Always a good time here on the SCG Tour, and you always bring something cool to the table when it's standard time. And you're playing one of my favorites, Gruul Midrange. And this is to say, not the Warrior deck, and not, the previous iterations of Gruul. This is kind of a new, bigger mid-range take. And you're playing a bunch of new cards, including a swath of 3 new Planeswalkers.
Planeswalker party.
Is this why you're playing the deck?
Absolutely. Yeah, I played in the Fandom Legends tournament on Thursday. It's a new Twitch tournament series in Arena. It's really cool. Check it out. And I played Abe Stein's mono red, like big red deck. He posted in his article. Kind of just saw it, played it. I liked a lot of the new cards in it. I liked Chandra, I liked Dragon Speaker. Deck was really cool, but seemed really, really bad in this format. Treasure Map's not a card you want to cast. So I was casting Chandra and Sarkhan on turns like 5 and 6. And they're not the kind of Planeswalkers like Teferi or like Vivian where like you can slow things down, play them, and then take over the game. These are very red Planeswalkers. They're very aggressive, and they're very good when you're ahead. And the deck I was playing didn't really get ahead. So I was like, well, why not just cast these cards on turn 3 and 4 instead? So Llanowar Elves, Growth Chamber Guardian, Paradise Druid allow me to ramp things out, kind of like the old school Monsters decks.
Yes.
The Gruul decks now have been very red-based, where they're not playing Llanowar Elves, they're playing no 1-drops, they're playing Goblin Chainwhirler, a little more mid-rangey, and this deck is a little more of a kind of ramp, get ahead of you, beat you down kind of deck. We have like the pretty insane curve of Llanowar Elf into Domri, possibly a Shock, into Sarkhan on turn 3. So we have a lot of opportunity for really good draws. Warboss is great on turn 2. Llanowar Elf is just great, basically.
Right, it's always been good. Everyone kind of recognizes that, but when you get to do good stuff with it, it's been a while since you could really ramp out 3-drops outside of maybe Steel Leaf Champion that was super heavy hitting. Now you get to do that, and you have a curve that you really want to ramp into, as you mentioned. Sarkhan, very good at closing games. This has kind of replaced the Skargan Hellkite slot a lot of these Gruul decks played. And Chandra, though, just your extra card per turn allows you to take advantage. And then you're winning with just Rekindling Phoenixes and a couple of beatdown creatures between Gruul Spellbreaker and the Legion Warboss.
Yep, the boss is really good against all the decks that aren't playing removal. Nexus, a lot of weird Bant decks floating around trying to do like weird flashy stuff and they just can't kill anything. But yeah, the Planeswalkers are really good because Chandra obviously keeps the cards going, but Chandra's really good because her passive ability, if you're pressuring them, it's hard for them to attack you anyway, which is why this deck is good because we're playing Planeswalkers when we're way ahead. And if they try and kill it, they're taking at least 5 damage, which is a lot. So actually properly using the passive on Chandra and then being able to use the plus ability on Sarkhan to make all my Planeswalkers with the dragons means that Domri can attack out of nowhere. The turn Sarkhan comes into play, and just a lot of really proactive, forward-moving things that are across a pretty wide spectrum where it's hard to answer everything with like one Wrath of God.
Right, the deck got a lot more depth to it and a lot more decision-making when you got all these Planeswalkers that can do a bunch of things. With Sarkhan being able to turn them into creatures, as you mentioned, very powerful, and gives this deck, what the old Gruul mid-range decks were, a little different plan, because they were just play a bunch of big threats, hope you can't deal with them. Now we have threats and Planeswalkers that are doing all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely.
So Growth Chamber Guardian is your kind of other curve filler along with Direfleet Daredevil. We saw these in like the big red decks Jody Keith won a Grand Prix with. How do you like this deck in the field?
I think it's very, very good right now. The deck is specifically good against all of the Thief Sanity decks that everyone is trying. Esper this and Dimir that. The main target right now is Nexus, and Thief Sanity is a very good answer to that. I've seen tons of these, Esper-y, Thief Sanity mid-range decks, and I have 4 Shocks in my deck on a pretty fast curve, so I want to see Thief Sanity. Deck's also good against Nexus, which have a very, very fast block and all the great sideboard cards. I was a little concerned with like my hyper aggro matchups, like mono red and mono white, and if you have sideboard cards for that. And the thing is, like, if we ever just have Llanowar Elf or Paradise Druid, we can get ahead really fast anyway. So maybe the control matchups aren't as good. Give all these Planeswalkers too. Everything just seems good, honestly. The deck seems great.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of quality cards. And as you mentioned, this deck is probably one of the most looking to take advantage of someone playing a 3-mana 2/2.
Yeah.
And this will punish them abruptly.
Yeah, nice hero, Precinct 1, nice Thief of Sanity, good day.
All right, moving to the sideboard here, we got to mention Azure, Nexus, Hate, 4 copies of Cindervines. How do you feel about this in the control matchups? Because I see some people like it against Esper and stuff like that as well.
I'm not a big fan. I played Esper a good amount, and people would always board that card in against me. And it was just sort of like a minor nuisance. Obviously Esper is already playing Mortify, so they can answer it if they have to. And then if you're not pressuring them otherwise, say it deals 4 or 5 damage, who cares? They can find an answer eventually. So, not a fan unless you're actually killing an artifact or an enchantment with it. I played against like a bad control deck on Arena yesterday or the day before, where they actually had Baffling End and the new Oblivion Ring. So I was okay bringing him in there because it had more utility. But I think against a straight control deck, you're not really interested.
Sure. We've got Brondadons here to blow up enchantments. We've got 2 Crawl Harpooners here. This used to be the huge tech against the mono blue deck. Is that still why they're hanging out, or is it just...
They're just good against the control decks, the mid-range decks, where they can just tag random Thief of Sanities without keeping shock in your deck.
Okay.
So you're still having answers to cards like that. Also, Lyra Dawnbringer, without having to keep in cards that are too narrow. You don't want to draw shock against the control deck, in the mid game. So it's a threat. It has 3 power. Honestly, I swapped those in for the Growth Chamber Guardians against decks like Nexus, where like the Growth Chamber Guardian ability isn't very relevant. It's just like 3 power, 2-drop, which is fine. They're just solid all around, honestly.
Okay. Got rounding out some of your other play sets here, or extras. You got the extra War Boss, Daredevil, some more Lava Coils. Then we have Siege Gang Commander, one of your favorites, of course. The new Tybalt and Living Twister. These are 2 I want to talk about specifically. Living Twister, this card just looks awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually buying the cards this morning at the booth, and I was waiting for my order to get picked up. I was looking at all the cards in the set, and I was kind of looking for a card in the aggro matchups anyway. That's kind of what Tybalt's for. Tybalt is good against mono red and mono white, where you just play it and make 2 Footlight Fiends, and it's actually pretty good against them. And I had 2 Tybalts, looking for a card that'd be good in those matchups, and Living Twister looked awesome. Just a 2/5 and pick things off. And I haven't seen it in those matchups yet, but I boarded it in against a Grixis mid-range deck and just drew it on turn 10 with like 7 lands in play, and it was just awesome. So the card seems really, really good. Definitely diminishing returns. Probably can't play too many copies of it, but the first copy is really good.
Okay, we've had the format for about a week on Arena, roughly. How do you feel about the format, and what do you like about it?
It seems awesome. I spent 16 hours streaming on Wednesday on my stream. Check it out. I played 10 different brews. I played yesterday, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of all the things that I want to try. I was trying proliferate decks. I had an amass deck, which is really cool. I played the big red deck. And just so many ideas I want to try. I haven't gotten there yet. The set it's jam-packed with a lot of interesting things. One of the things that I like about this set is the Planeswalkers are all very interesting for the most part. They do unique things that not every deck wants. I think one of the biggest failings of Magic design in the last 5 years has been the generic 5 mana, +1 draw a card, -3 kill something, -8 win the game, Planeswalkers. Vivian Reed, Teferi, Ob Nixilis, all these cards that they kind of just enter play and then tap with them, and you just have this hopeless feeling like I can't ever win. And it's on 6 loyalty, I'm a little behind, and I can never catch up. And those walkers, I'm just kind of sick of it. I'm over it. And I like Teferi. I'm a control player. I'm sick of it. And
it's a weird world when Jim's putting you down Teferi.
Right, but it's just the play patterns are pretty boring, honestly. So Planeswalkers like Chandra, Fire Artisan, or Manu Domri, these are Planeswalkers that do pretty interesting, cool things, but they're not just vanilla, this card's really good, jam it and draw cards. It's funny because Nicol Bolas is actually the exception. Nicol Bolas is actually literally +1 draw a card, -3 kill something, but it has a pretty crazy casting cost, and I think it's okay once in a while if it's really hard to cast, and that's fine, and the costs are there to play it. But overall, I'm very happy with the design of the Planeswalkers in this set.
All right. And you mentioned your stream. Why don't you get an official plug in there? Where can they find your stream?
Jim Davis MTG on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, all the stuff. I'm actually front page on Twitch every Tuesday. Not this coming Tuesday, I'll be visiting a friend, but the next 3 weeks from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had 9,000 viewers last Tuesday.
That's an official plug right there. That's how you do it, Jim. You can learn a few things here.
Yeah.
You're teaching them about the decks. I'm teaching them about how to stream.
That's great.
You're 4-0?
4-0.
All right, well, keep crushing it, Jim. Always a pleasure. Stay tuned to StarCityGames.com all week long for the action here in Richmond.